makes me want to cry just thinking about it. It was it was really horrible.
Yeah. So we actually got it diagnosed, and it was...
There was mold on everything.
So my friends were like 14 and it would happen to them as well. Literally 14 and it'd be like old men.
So obviously that was concerning
Very
us
weird.
when Mia's coming home and telling us that. Obviously making the family unhealthy and unhappy.
Shine on me, shine on me. Shine on me, shine on me.
What's good, Fizz fam? How's it going? So we are obviously back here in the UK. We're getting all settled, really enjoying it. But loads of you guys want to know what our plans are, and you've been asking us an absolute ton of questions, and we have a lot to say. This is a decision what we've made over a long time to come back to the UK. We were always planning it, like we wanted to travel back here for a trip, and we were waiting for the right time to be able to do that. But then simultaneously, we have been dealing with a lot of issues while we've been in Costa Rica as well. And we've been having like family meetings about them. We've been trying to figure out what is the best decision for us.
And then with some of the issues we've been having, there's been times where we've been dealing with them, and then we've like kind of solved them technically, and then everything's been going good, and then they keep like happening again, which we'll go in more detail.
Reoccurring issues.
Yeah. So it wasn't like during Costa Rica there wasn't like 100% ongoing issues. They just kept popping up now and then. But yeah, we'll explain.
But they were serious enough for us to have to really keep evaluating whether we were making the right decision to decide to live there or not. And so as of this moment right now, we've decided that we may very well not go back. So in this video, we're going to explain why.
So I think we've mentioned this in the video when we were leaving Costa Rica, but there's been loads of exciting things that we've wanted to do back in the UK. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to come back to the UK is because I need to have some really important surgery, and I wasn't able to have it in Costa Rica, but I'm going to make a video all about that very soon, because I had my consultation the other day, and I'm just waiting to get some confirmation back about that consultation from the surgeon, and then I'm going to make the video when it's more like set in stone. And then you've got some exciting plans, haven't you?
I am going to be getting my driver's license. Well, I'm going to be doing the driving test.
I like it.
No, that's good for you.
Yes, I'm completely optimistic, and I'm sure that I'm going to pass it.
Oh,
I downloaded, remember you sent me a text to download the app? I just downloaded it and I was doing the questions. And
I know why. Do you know what reminded her? We went into the works, and we're getting loads of stationery and homeschooling things.
And then I saw there were driving test books.
And she was like, I'm going to download it. I mean, why don't you get yourself a book as well, thinking about it?
Yeah,
a book as well.
You get split up.
But I like the app because it is basically like I'm taking the test.
Yeah.
But I can
This
just
is
take
what
the
I
test
did.
on
This
repeat.
is a side note now, but this is what I did. I literally it was a CD-ROM for a computer. There weren't apps in those days.
You make yourself sound
I just
so old.
I just did it on repeat, and then there was only 35 questions in the theory test in those days as well. But so I got 35 out of 35, and then it even gave me a couple of bonus questions after, where it was like, we're planning on possibly implementing these in future theory tests, blah blah blah. So these don't count towards your score, but then it got me to answer them, and I got them right as well.
Well done.
Because I just
you
hypnotised
basically
myself with
want to us to blow trumpets for you, right?
Anyway, let's shut up because otherwise the story's going to be too long. It's going to be too long.
And then Sienna, you really like wanted to.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of like a lot of reasons, but well, one, I obviously wanted to see like friends and family, like my best friend Jojo, and then like Nanny and Granddad, and like all my family who are here, and we haven't seen them for ages.
Yeah.
And then obviously I wanted to go to like all the fun shops and just like
I
I wanted to go back to England, like my home country. Like it's kind of odd because people usually have a holiday away from the home country, but like we're having like one to our home country.
Yeah, and so obviously introducing Koa to the family as well, because obviously as everyone knows, 2020 was pretty insane, wasn't it? So we weren't able to really see people properly.
And then of course, like what Sienna mentioned, there's like loads of fun stuff that is in the UK which you can't get in Costa Rica. So like it's been really fun.
Lots of cups of tea.
No, not that. Like all of the fun stuff.
Really?
Like some of you guys.
Legoland. I really want to go to
like
Legoland.
just we're probably going to cover some of this later on, one of the reasons why, but there's just like things that we took for granted in the UK and in Costa Rica. It was really apparent.
Anyway, so that's why we were planning a trip to the UK, but then there's been a lot of ongoing reasons about like, are we making the right decision? So here's like all the reasons, starting with the biggest one about what was an ongoing thing for us in
Yeah.
Costa Rica. And can you guys remember when we stopped vlogging for 2 months? It was like March till May 2021. We didn't vlog at all, barely did any stories, and obviously we let you guys know on Instagram stories that the babies had a skin rash, and we just weren't going to be filming while they were suffering with that. It was genuine suffering. It was
I
really...
can't even remember saying that though. I felt like we just went completely quiet because we felt so like.
No, you did say it was...
Disheartened.
Yeah, we were really sad about it,
Yeah.
obviously. We were really sad
Really
about it.
sad and confused.
We were just like, what do we do here? Because everything felt so amazing. It was like, it felt like it all fell into place. We were so excited about being
Yeah.
there. We had that new, like, you know, honeymoon period of it just being amazing and everything being incredible.
Yeah.
And then it was like, we got there the beginning of February, and it was only like by, I don't know, a couple of weeks after being there, then everyone.
No, it was after like 6 weeks of being there. It first happened to Karma. We first noticing this skin rash, which we'll go into more detail in a minute because it isn't just a skin rash. Karma first started getting the symptoms, and then it went on Koa, then it went on me, and then maybe Sienna, didn't it? But at first,
Yeah.
it was about 6 weeks, Darren,
Right.
after being there.
Well,
or,
I know-
or was it 4 weeks actually? Because somebody noticed it on the babies, and we would just
Yeah.
thought like it would just go, because we just thought like babies do get like rashes and things,
Yeah.
and we just
Also,
thought
we
it
knew
would go.
there'd be,
Yeah.
obviously, there's different bacteria in different countries.
Yeah.
So like everybody's aware of staph, and like when we went to Sri Lanka before, we got like some different staph, and you get some little scabs. But this was like, this was on a
It was
different level.
different,
It was on a different level, and it was really, really horrible. And like, we thought, right, obviously the body's a self-healing organism. We did use every treatment that we could possibly learn about while we're there, including things what even like the locals use, which that was surprising me that even the locals still have this as an ongoing issue.
And like
Because I
not
thought,
just,
how are they not adapted to
and
it
it
if
was
they
the
live
locals
Yeah.
there?
also.
Born there.
It was some of the we got given lots of different things and advice, even from people, the locals who were like more of the indigenous tribes in the jungle
Yeah.
as well, who obviously have like really good knowledge of the nature and the biological sort of state of Costa Rica. But we haven't even said what it is. So we actually got it diagnosed, and it was ringworm, something called ringworm.
But it's not a worm.
But it's not actually a worm, it's
No.
a fungus which lives on the skin. And the reason they call it ringworm is because one of the symptoms of it is that you can have like a ring mark on your
It makes
skin,
like a circle.
which looks like a worm. And it also
Wormhole.
can turn into blisters, huge scabs, really pussy, really itchy dry bits.
It starts off small,
Yeah.
and it makes
Yeah.
a circle on your skin, and then it just grows outwards and becomes a really
Yeah.
big circle, and then it can go really sore
And turns into staph.
Really
and
itchy
scab
and, like-
And
yeah.
it can go
Yeah.
into a
Can't
and some people say it can turn into a staph infection, but they're both so like I couldn't really tell like when it was staph or when it was ringworm. It's just kind of like all at once, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it manifested on our bodies in different ways. So it first started appearing on Karma's skin as little blisters on her elbows and knees, and then it went into like these like dry, big giant scabs. On me, I had a big like bubble blister
Like,
on my hand.
literally
There's a
it looked
scar
like
there
a
right now.
dome.
But it went a big giant dome. It was like huge, and it was like green. It was disgusting. It was
Ew.
so weird, and it felt so gross it being on my hand. Like I kept wanting to hide it all the time, and then it also felt quite vulnerable that there's like this big giant like bubble on my hand. Sorry guys if this is
It's
gross.
not going too much detail in
No,
it, but
I have
just-
actually got
It's
photos on my
gross.
phone just to remind us, because it's happened several times throughout the whole
I
year
think
we've
it
been in
happened
Costa Rica.
it might have happened like 3 or 4 times.
And it
but it
lasts.
lasts like 2 months.
Yeah.
And then you'll kind of, well, the babies. I mean, this has been a recurring thing in the babies. That's the main
Yeah.
thing. I feel like because we have more an awareness, we can deal with things. Like we know what's going on. But for poor little Koa, think how young he was when this was first happening to him in the beginning of 2021. Yeah, he was only a year old, and he was having to go through this where like his skin would stick to the sheet in the bed because it's just open. It makes me want to cry just thinking about it. It was so,
Yeah.
it was really horrible.
Yeah. And we were
and we were like, right,
Yeah.
we're being advised on how to treat this. We're doing everything what the locals are telling us to do, and we're treating him and we're giving him as much rest as possible. We're like, we're not doing any work.
Yeah.
We're just stopping, and we're helping both babies get better. It's worst on Koa, I assume, because he doesn't have as much of an immune system and as much of like he hasn't developed
It was so bad on
against these
Koa
types
had
of
it worse.
bacteria.
And it was, and I was breastfeeding him at the time, and because it was so uncomfortable for him, he'd be up all night, which meant I was up all night. And then on my side of where I was breastfeeding him, I got it as well. So this is the second time. I had it all in my hand and I think all the blisters, but the second time I got it was when Koa had it really bad. And then it all spread all under my armpit. I had giant scabs under my armpit. I think like I tried to have, like, we couldn't film videos during that time either because I felt so uncomfortable and ill, and I was caring for Koa, and because he was awake all night crying, it meant that I was so drained the next day because I wasn't getting any sleep. I was caring for a baby that was like crying all night in a discomfort. But then I had like my clothes would fuse to it and stuff like that, and like all you could wear, like literally just want to walk around naked the whole time. And it did get to the point in Costa Rica that we would, especially the babies, I would just let them be naked the whole time, which also then meant like if I wanted to capture photos of them and like wanted to share things online, I wouldn't, because obviously they didn't have any clothes on. It just made us like feel like we had to like hide away from the world because we were either covered in sores or we had to like be hardly wear any clothes, especially the babies, because the one thing that really helps with it is
letting your skin breathe.
letting your skin breathe. Because what happens, we've spoken to lots of the foreigners who have moved there, and they said that's happened to them and their kids before, and no matter how much they treat it, what actually really helps is just time and your skin adjusting to be in there.
The time, even
the
just
time.
when we were leaving, and we had a conversation with someone else who was a realtor there.
And he's from Australia, by the way,
Australia,
which is a hot country.
and his wife is Costa Rican, and still, even with their children, it took like 3 years for their children to either, I guess, adapt or kind of grow out of it, or I don't know, have thicker skin to be able to do, like literally physically thicker skin. I don't know how people get beyond it, but it was obviously affecting the youngest ones of us the most.
I think what it is, in Costa Rica, even the area where we were living, which is a bit more dry and deserty, is very humid there, and during the whole time you're there, you'll always be sticky and sweaty. And even if you're just wearing a bikini, your skin is just covered in a film of sticky sweat, which is just a breeding ground for the fungus. When you're just covered in that and your skin is like damp and moist all the time, that the fungus can grow, which is why I let the babies just like have no clothes on anymore, so they weren't so sweaty. But it's not something that you can really avoid in that high humidity. And the man who we spoke to, he said that even though he's from Australia, like it took him 3 years to adjust to that sticky sweat.
His children who were born there.
Yeah, and what happened is when we'd go to San Jose for little trips, because it's a lot colder there, where we were staying, our skin wouldn't be sweating, we'd actually be a bit colder, and then we'd notice that all of like the sores
It would
or
heal.
any signs.
Yeah.
Because what would happen, sometimes we would get really freaked out. I'd be like, guys, I'm getting itchy red mark in my hand again, and we'd all go, oh no, and like it'd be really worrying. And then like we'd go to San Jose and then it would clear up.
Yeah, because we were staying in the mountains and it was
I'm
cold.
sorry for not explaining this properly. It's just because it was like going on for a whole year and it would come and go, and like we were dealing with it. And then when it was happening, we'd be like, oh, I really hate it here. I don't like Costa Rica. Because when you're covered in scabs and sores and you're like constantly having to treat yourself, because during this whole like year we've been constantly treating it, and like we've even got to the point where we live in this really sunny tropical climate. We eat organic vegetables. It's a really like healthy lifestyle, but yet we're like the most unhealthiest we've ever been, because when we lived in the UK or like Gran Canaria, wherever we've lived before, we've never ever had even Dubai, which is kind of unnatural in the city, we've never ever been like ill like this before. But then in Costa Rica, this tropical climate, it was like no matter how healthy we were like having this skin disease almost. But when it would go, we would then like forget about it and we'd be like, oh, it's amazing.
That was the issue,
But then
it'd last
it
like
would
2
last
months.
Then
there'd be like a month after you'd finally get over it, and then it'd come back again. When I keep saying like it was mainly Koa and Karma, like
and me. But Mia, you've had all on your legs, and everybody's like,
I had it
been
first on my
asking.
elbow, and then for like 2 months. Then afterwards, then I had like all on my face like that, and there was one like above my eye.
But the weird thing is we didn't actually have it in Mexico, which is a humid climate, but for some reason it's like really common in Costa Rica. Some people might be like, oh, I really want to move to a tropical country, but there are some like realities to live in
which you're not aware of until you get there.
Yeah.
So we're just really really happy like that Koa and Karma are better now. When we just got here, Karma is now recovering. Like there's because she was going through another bout of it again. Koa wasn't this time.
Yeah.
But Karma was all down her back
It was
and on
really
her bum
frustrating
as
as well. Like sometimes we'd just be so frustrated. It's like, why is this happening? And like we want it to stop, which is one of the main reasons why we're just thinking about.
And then directly being able to correlate it to where we were as well, because we could go and stay in the city, in the mountains where it was cold, and it would go. It would dry up and it would disappear. Then we'd go back to where we were living on the coast where it was really boiling hot and wet, and then it would come up again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that was obviously a lot to have to come to terms with, and we were getting to a point where we were just like, right, I don't think we should put up with this anymore. By that point we were thinking, right, let's kind of weigh up pros and cons. We were having conversations about this. There were some other little trivial things, and then there was some other quite major things. So some of the little tiny trivial things were just like there was mold on everything. Even when people would come around, like our architect would come and see us, and we're like, is it normal that, you know, you put your spatula back in the pot on the side and then after 2 days it's got mold on it? It's like, yeah, it's Costa Rica,
Like
so
for
what
instance,
happens?
I bought loads of really sustainable bamboo kitchenware, and bamboo in Costa Rica,
All of our chopping
it
boards.
goes
then-
mouldy straight away.
And then like, is it normal that even in vacuum sealed tubs where you put your food, bugs get in there and start eating through it all the time? Like even in plastic packaging of things, bugs get through everything. Because you guys asked us once before, why'd you put your oats in the fridge? And we were like, well, because otherwise they get full of ants. So another tiny thing was just the fact that any of the things that we had to do, like for instance, if they wanted a women's hairdressers, that was 5 hours there, 5 hours back. We were very remote, and the only stuff that we could like get anything, like if we needed to buy something from a shop, anything like that, it was a 10-hour round trip.
like
So
if your
obviously
phone breaks,
we'd end up having to stay there overnight, and it would be a whole trip just to do something which everyone else, like in other parts of the world, or a lot of other parts of the world, they take for granted they can just pop down the road. And then deliveries, if we wanted to order something online, as you guys know, it would take 6 weeks. And that's not because it's taking 6 weeks to travel. Literally, DHL will give you a 48-hour delivery. It arrives in the country, and then due to all their different government regulations and various like paperwork that it has to go through, it sits there going through all these rounds of paperwork, not really doing anything, and then you finally get it like 4 to 6 weeks later.
yeah.
So those were some of the other like small trivial things which were just adding on top of
The frustration
the
we
terrible
felt,
skin thing which we were having to deal with the babies. But then also there were some elements which Mia was speaking to us about and actually cried to us about sometimes.
I think I definitely love traveling, and exploring the world is something that I definitely want to do. However, there are lots of things that I want to do which I feel like I need to be in a developed country for, and Costa Rica wasn't really the place. Like even I was speaking to my friends about this, like Costa Rica is amazing if you just want to live on the beach, if you want to surf and stuff like that. But if you have like dreams and you want to like, I don't know, be more independent, I feel like it's very difficult there. Like I had a lot of friends who were like older than me, and they still couldn't really like move out and start doing their own thing. Like they were still reliant on their parents, which if you want that, that's fine, but I don't know if I'm going to want that in the future, and I want to be more independent, and it's not really the place for that unless maybe if you went to the city. But I don't really, that's not my favorite city in the world, so I would much rather be in a city like London or another city in like the US or somewhere like that, a country where I feel more comfortable and independent, and there's a lot more of an infrastructure. Like the beach is amazing, but there's only so many times you can go to the beach. If you want to like, if you like the beach, then sure, that's amazing, and I do like the beach, but there are other things I want to do in my life which I need to have more than the beach.
I feel
be
like
able
you
to
loved
do.
it to start with, but then it was, as we all did.
And I still
we all
love,
loved it.
I still love the beach, and I still want to go to like have that beach lifestyle sometimes, but I feel like it's more of like a vacation and not what I want to be my complete life.
And I feel like you said, you were quite frustrated one time, and you said to me how you're just a bit worried about your future, that you're just going to be stuck there and it's a bit
I was just
sleepy and
feeling
relaxed.
like there wasn't
Just
like
like either surfing.
I feel like
Getting
like
drunk.
for example with my channel, I'd come up with all this long list of ideas, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that because the shops, or oh, I can't do that because the delivery. Like I have to be like, I literally, if I want to do like a video about like outfits, I have to order it 2 months in advance, and then sometimes I'd order it like 2 months in advance, and then the delivery would get cancelled because it's not easy. So it just kind of made me feel very unmotivated to like make the videos that I wanted to, because any idea that I was excited to make, I was like, oh, I can't do that
Yeah.
So
and then-
that was just like kind of made me just feel like, oh, then what can I do?
We
Like,
had to sort of
I had
accept that
nothing
we
to
were
do.
like semi-retiring.
Because I-
because there were a lot of
I
things we
didn't
couldn't
want
do.
that.
Because
Like,
that shocked me, because I can remember we were in the kitchen, we were eating dinner, and you just sat down and you were just like, oh, you were like frustrated.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I was like, but you've got loads of friends, like you've got all friends here, and like, you get to go to the beach with them, and you get to, like, I was kind of like shocked.
Like,
Because I was going through a little period, because the whole time we've been in Costa Rica, we've all been taken in turns.
It's ups and downs.
Who's loving it and
Yeah.
who's not. So
Yeah.
at that moment, I was feeling motivated again and enjoying it. I was like,
Yeah.
why are you being so ungrateful for me? It's amazing here. And it did take me by surprise, but I actually could really see it from her viewpoint. Mia's now approaching that age where she's at like a young adult. And like, I've kind of lived my life and done all my young teenagery stuff in a city in England. And I just thought, actually, yeah, you might not get to experience that. And I did think like, whoa, I do kind of really like get your point.
yeah, like I really enjoyed the year that we lived there, and I do feel like it's a really
Yeah, me
nice
too.
place, and I'm grateful for all the
Yeah.
memories
Yeah.
and all the friendships. And just because like we've moved doesn't mean that it's completely over, if you know what I mean. I feel like for me, for what I want in my life and where I want to go, it would hold me back.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
something, I don't know if you want to speak about this or not. Tell me if you don't want to talk about it, and then we won't include it in the video, obviously. But I feel like there was something more serious. What concerned us as well is the amount of times Mia would come home and say how she feels uncomfortable, how
Yeah.
men are looking at her. She
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
because she's like a blonde-haired person and there wasn't many blonde-haired people there, there was like a thing of where, because you spoke to your friends about it.
Yeah,
and if-
it's not just that I'm blonde haired as well. That I think that definitely adds to it. But just like it is a Latin American country, and yeah, it's definitely like one of the safest ones. But still, it's okay in like if in certain areas. But I want to explore and be independent, and have to go. Like I want to be able to go wherever I want, and not have to feel like I have to have like my parents with me all the time. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's not always the best idea, and it's like sometimes you just feel uncomfortable, especially as like a female in those
Yeah.
countries. Like it is like a known thing, like even in like the tourist guidebooks, that like it's not.
Well, I think in like the Lonely Planet books, they do say when you go to Costa Rica, it's relatively really safe for females. But
Yeah,
be
like
warned,
I'm
you're
not
going to
saying
be.
it's not. I'm
but
not
it
saying
says
it's
that you can-
dangerous there
No,
necessarily,
but-
but I'm saying it feels sometimes uncomfortable, especially because of how like.
No, it says that like men catcall it.
Yeah,
in
that's
the,
a
in
very
the Lonely
common
Planet
thing
guidebook,
there.
it says that you can get catcalled, which, you know, maybe that doesn't sound super serious, but actually, like if you're walking down the street and
Well, it
like
just- it's
men are
not a nice
whistling or shouting
experience
stuff
to
at you,
go
it
through.
actually is like quite like.
But for a
uncomfortable.
17-year-old as well,
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it doesn't just.
Intense.
I
Yeah,
have
it's
friends
intense.
who are like when I was there, I had friends who were older than me and younger than me, and some of my friends were like 14, and it would happen to them as well. Literally 14, it would be like old men.
So obviously
that's-
that was concerning
very
us
weird.
when Mia's coming home and telling us that. So it's like another thing to add to the list, you know? It's like obviously the skin thing was the most significant thing, but then it was just like these other little things. And it's not to say there weren't like a ton of pros about the place. Absolute ton of pros.
Which
like,
is like why we.
it was
Yeah.
like literally going to paradise, but then it was just slowly these things where it was like, hang on, there's more to life than just beautiful beaches and sunshine, when there's these things what we're really concerned about as well going on simultaneously. So we were having to really make decisions, and it's only like now that we've got to the UK and we're finally able to really evaluate
No,
what's
but
going on.
one thing that did prompt us to reevaluate was obviously we've been in the process of building our dream house there, and it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and like we were planning to be living in our dream house
Before Christmas.
Before Christmas,
Yeah.
and then suddenly we found out like because we wanted to build an eco house, and we wanted to have all solar panels on it. We wanted to have all like non-toxic paint and all these materials, and like we were actually like really thinking about it being like a really sustainable build. The builder who was originally working with us, he said, guys, I can't do this. I'm going to pass you on to some other builders and architects who will really be able to help you, and they'll know what they're doing. And because we made that switch, it then caused a huge, massive delay in the house build, which we just weren't prepared for. So we were like renting a house there for a year, and we were happy to rent for that place.
Well, no,
for a
hang
year.
on. Side note on that note as well. It's literally more expensive than Dubai to live there.
Yeah, so
So
bear
yeah,
in
we
mind
were
it's very
renting and it was sky
So
high
we never
prices.
planned that, and guys, we could have gone with an easier to build house if we wanted, but we wanted to do like this eco dream house, you know.
Well, it's
And-
we're spending that money that we've all worked for, and it's like our
Yeah.
dream house, and
Yeah.
like
And then
we want to get it exactly how we want it.
yeah, and
of
then when we
course.
found out it's probably actually going to be another year on it, and we were like, what, we're going to have to wait another year, that kind of made me feel really disheartened. I was like, I wasn't planning on being in this house for another year, because bear in mind the whole time when we're renting it's very expensive. We didn't feel like we could go off and travel because like we're paying for that place as well. So I was like, what, we're gonna be stuck in this house for like another year on that, when I thought we were gonna be in our dream house. And then on top of that, while that was going on, I was just accepting it. I was like, right, you know, just be grateful, everything's good.
We were
be
trying.
good.
We were really trying
Try,
to work
like
through
we were
it.
working through it and being positive, because
Yeah.
I realised that life.
We were even thinking
Life
like
is
with the
full.
skin fungus, we'll get over
Yeah.
it and eventually it won't happen.
Because I said to Dan,
Yeah.
I think it'll take 6 months for our skin to adjust.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to Dan,
I thought it'd be
I
less.
was being really positive. For the first
Yeah.
6 months, I was the one who's being like positive and really building everyone up. So basically, like, it's just being like ongoing, like who likes it, who doesn't. But then when we found out that the dream house we were going to have, which was going to be built like delayed a year later, was then not going to be our dream house because the design got rejected, then we were like, what? Like, so we're now going to be spending all of our life savings on a house which we don't like the look of.
Which
And
we don't like. Hang on, just one sec, because we don't like the look of, and it'll be covered in mold and will be covered in skin fungus while we live there.
Yeah.
We're like, this is not the right decision anymore, is it?
But I was like, life
Don't
is
say
full of
that,
challenges.
yeah.
I was like, life is full of challenges, and I kept like having that mindset.
You always say everything twice.
Sorry.
This video is twice the length it needs to be, but Georgie says everything twice.
I'm trying to think what to say.
what Sienna said.
I said we'll be moldy people in a moldy
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing is though, being down, we're really into health and wellness and well-being, and like you,
Mold is not
you
good
actually
for
came
you.
across mold spores and that,
Mold
because
is
like
really
in the
bad,
UK,
yeah.
if you're living in a council flat or house and there's mold in it, you can move out. That like
Yeah.
it's a health and
serious
safety
thing, yeah.
really
Yeah.
serious. It can
Yeah.
cause really bad diseases in children, and like it can like age you and like make you really ill.
Where do we go from here? What are our plans from here?
Yeah.
No,
Right,
Sorry,
so
guys.
No,
this
that's-
I
felt,
feel like I'm,
as
like,
you can imagine, this
sharing,
felt
like-
very difficult for us. Like, we don't like giving up on things. We
No.
commit to things, we work towards our goals, and we achieve them. And this felt odd for us to feel like, right, we might be giving up on this. So the way we're kind of reframing it is, we don't need to persevere through something which is obviously making the family unhealthy and unhappy at times. And
Yeah.
we have the freedom to be able to change our minds and pivot at any time that we want. So we're not giving up on that dream, but the dream might take a little plot twist.
A curveball.
And the
Yeah.
house might end up in another
country.
part of Costa Rica. It might end up in another country. Who knows? But we're just enjoying the fact that we're back in the UK.
Yeah.
We're going to see family. The babies are
Yeah.
well again. Their skin is healed. Like, Karma's almost healed. Koa's completely healed.
And then
And
also
that just feels great. And so we're framing it from a positive angle, where we've got so much experience over the course of that year of being there. We've had
Yeah.
just some amazing
Wow.
times as well.
It's
Yeah, there's
been
been some
amazing.
lows, but there've been loads of highs as well. And we're able to put that all towards our like journey of life and grow.
like we
as a
have
result of
grown
it.
so much being in Costa Rica, and I feel like all the negative experience there has given me like so much more like experience. Like now I know, like if we wanted to move or like travel to another country, now I'm like aware of like some of like the hidden
So many more things.
hidden cause, like, you know, like
Yeah.
when, and I know this might be helpful to some other families who think that like there is, the grass is greener on the other side actually in some of these countries, like all the palm trees and the monkeys and that, but actually there are like other things that you have to consider if you want to move abroad as well. But
There's pros and cons to everywhere.
yeah.
Pros and cons, and it all depends on what stage of life you're in as well. Because maybe if
It
we
just
didn't
depends
have
on what you
babies,
want. Yeah.
well, and Mia, I guess, because Mia obviously
If
had
we were
some
more,
things that she
like,
was not enjoying about
If
the
we were
place.
like retired, I would absolutely love it there.
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
even Sienna was saying that, like, she was bored of the same.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, just because something might be amazing, when you just do it every single day on repeat,
You
then
start to become a bit ungrateful
you know,
for
yeah.
it as well, which
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. Like, I feel like for me especially, I'm the sort of person, I love traveling and I love having variation in my life.
And it's not that we're talking about necessarily going to shops or having a haircut. We're not really, because that can even get boring. It's just that it was like there was no option to have those things. And I said to Darren, we can live in a sunny place and experience the sun and beaches, but yeah, like if you want to like tap into the city urban life and have some access to more of those modern conveniences, that would be nice. And I said there are countries that can provide that, but Costa Rica is like you have to choose one or the other, and it's a big commitment to take, especially like when you're young and you've got all this zest for life. And like if we were like joking the other day, we're like, if you have like an idea that you want to suddenly start doing a new type of project, like oh I want to start like building like bird huts and stuff, whatever, and then you go online and you order it 6 weeks later when it arrives, then it arrives and you're like, I don't really want to do that anymore. It's like you can't act upon,
can't
like,
be spontaneous.
You can't be spontaneous, and that is quite a hard thing for young people. I even consider myself quite young, being in my 30s. I don't feel like I'm ready to like sort of retire yet. And then of course, like we are, one thing that we really enjoy doing as a family is making YouTube videos and sharing our lives. And when we had to take a break for 2 months, it really knocked my confidence, and I didn't feel proud of that, because like I never wanted to not make, like we didn't want to stop making YouTube videos, and because it was because of a negative reason. Like imagine if we took 2 months off because we all wanted to like go to a meditation retreat or do something like that, you know, that would be okay, but it was because it was like something horrible happened to us. It's kind of like not nice.
It was like we didn't really get a choice in the matter. We were kind of forced to do it.
So because we've spent literally the last year talking about this and trying to work out what's the best decision for us, this isn't difficult for us to come to terms with, because we've been slowly easing our way towards the decision anyway, and it got to the point where it's just like, right, there's only one decision to make. We're going to leave. The cards have lined up perfectly. We're now able to leave. We're able to go back to the UK, and so now we're at a state of like just feeling excited and feeling optimistic about what the future may hold.
And we're not like putting pressure on ourselves. Like there's like in my heart, I feel like when I think back to Costa Rica, there's loads of things that I really, really miss, like the fact that we could just go to the beach every day. And I'm being realistic, like in London right now, it feels really exciting, but this might get a bit boring as well, being in the busy city, you know. There's only been so many times like it's fun going to a coffee shop or something, do you know what I mean? So we're like just gonna like enjoy this and not put any pressure on ourselves, and just enjoy this trip in the UK.
Yeah, and just see where our hearts take us.
And we do actually feel really motivated now to make videos again. It's
as
like,
you can probably tell.
Like when we travel, guys, like the whole time you've ever known us since we've made videos, we've always travelled, like from Gran Canaria, like we've been to Italy and got engaged, you've gone to the US loads, and I always like feel like when we travel, or like when we've travelled before, put ourselves in a new situation, I've always felt really motivated to
I feel like our best videos are from when we're travelling. When we're in new places,
like when we're doing something new,
because that's when we feel our best. That's when we're having the most fun and the most
it's
joy.
because we're experiencing something for the first time ourselves, and then we're like sharing it with you, so it feels like
so much to talk
it doesn't
about,
feel
and
forced at all.
like,
it feels so like genuine, authentic, and exciting, that like I just feel like we're on a really like high vibe when it happens, and we're just it's just amazing. And I really felt like the minute we were leaving, even though it was really sad, when we were in that minibus, something magic was going on. Like we were like,
we were well excited. We were so excited.
It's like we were feeling pure joy again, and we weren't worrying, because I feel like the whole time we were in Costa Rica, we were like worrying a lot. It's a really weird feeling we've had. We were complaining.
Made us very serious as well, because we're having to deal with serious things. Like seeing your little babies like that made everything serious. So now we're excited, and we're just ready for life again.
And we're ready to go to Hamleys.
We've been to Hamleys, but if you want to go again,
I think JoJo wants to take Sienna, doesn't he?
Cool.
And then also, like when we're here, I'm going to be having my surgery, which is something really, really important for my health, which I'm going to make a video about. So like coming to the UK has got some really like important things here, and then seeing family, like we're going to make memories here, which is really weird because it's the place we're from, but we're coming back, and like. So
let's see what the future holds. Click subscribe
I'm
if you're
sorry for
new.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm managing to wrap it up. Click subscribe if you're new. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
See you later.